Joining us now to talk more about what's ahead for Apple, Edmund Lee from Recode and Matt Murphy from Menlo Ventures. Good morning to both of you. Mr. Lee.
Afternoon. It's the afternoon.
And you know, it is, but I host a morning show, so it's complicated. Ed, help us here. You look at these numbers and you think, when you think about the valuation of this company, does it make sense to the debate we just had?
Well, look, I follow the debate. I think I agree with everyone, and I also disagree with everyone. I think for Apple, expectations are always super high for them, right? So they're meeting expectations. It's a good thing. I think everyone wants to see them beat, of course. That's why the stock's doing whatever it is, 3%. It's nice up, but it's not crazy up necessarily. I think, we're talking about all these other ancillary products and iPad and Apple TV and the other categories you pointed out, which a lot of media sales there. It's really, these are all sideshows. It's really a one product company. It's an iPhone company, right? And so iPhone sales were more or less in line. More interestingly, their expectation for the current quarter, for the holiday quarter, which is supposed to be the big one, it's in line with estimates, right? Nothing too disappointing, nothing too worried, nothing we have to be too worried about. I wish we had a little bit more insight into the China stuff and the China numbers, because that's what really want to see going forward. Will they take advantage of opportunities in China for China holidays, that kind of thing? And that's less clear from these numbers.
Right. Matt, long term, is the iPhone a diminishing business? Not to say diminishing business, but it can't sustain the growth?
Not at all. I mean, if you look globally, there's only about 30% of the market has smartphones today. About 75% have mobile phones altogether. So there's a massive global market. You're starting that in China. And overall, I was very impressed with the earnings announcement today. The mobile market generally tends to march to the beat of Apple's drum, and I think they hit it really hard today.
Matt, you believe the stock is terribly undervalued, correct?
Always. It's a great company. There was a bit of commentary around being dismissive of some of the other platforms, things they're doing, but I think over time, if you look what they've already started to do on the watch, in music streaming, companies there are already worth close to $10 billion. They're taking those markets on.
We just talked about it. That's tiny. It's minuscule. It's not. And the other products category is $3 billion on a relative basis to the rest of it. It's like pocket lint.
Small now, but all those markets are going to get much bigger over time, and it just shows their capability as a platform, which is really what comes back to their user love and passion, which again kind of makes people want to buy more of their products.
Michael Santoli, it really comes down to, there's two schools of thought on Apple right now. There's the fact that you've got the law of large numbers. It's more dependent on iPhones than ever as a percentage of sales. I think more than 62%, what it just reported. Yeah. And that's going to peak at some point, and the growth is not limitless. Or there's this idea that it can continue to gain share in places like China, and at the same time buy itself some room to diversify into new products of growth.
Yeah, I think Apple knows that.
Go ahead, Mike. Hold on. Mike Santoli.
No, I think it's kind of all true. It's a pet peeve of mine, law of large numbers. That's not what that means, but it definitely is going to be a challenge. And I think the market doesn't know what to do with a $700 billion market cap growth company. It simply doesn't know how to assign a multiple that recognizes that growth potential. And I think that's what you're seeing. And that's why, can a stock be perpetually cheap and still really be cheap? That's the question.
Mike, Matt, did you have something to say about that?
Well, I think the other thing, we're largely talking about consumer markets, but I think we're going to see a whole additional leg of growth here in the enterprise. This is really the start of the year of the mobile-first enterprise, and we're seeing more and more enterprises that really the applications that their employees use are on mobile first, and that's a big shift. It took a long time for consumer markets to get to the point where you bank primarily on the iPhone, you play games primarily on the iPhone. You're seeing the same thing in the enterprise now. There's going to be huge another inflection there, both for iPads and iPhones in the enterprise. That becomes the predominant modality of how people want to interact with business applications.
Okay, we are going to thank both of you gentlemen. Ed Lee from Recode, thank you. Matt Murphy from Menlo Ventures, rather. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You guys are